Hey, happy Monday, everybody. I'm coming to you from a beautiful little getaway place in Washington right now. Just came up here with my wife for a night last night after a big weekend at church and before another big week ahead, and just enjoying a little bit of downtime. But I wanted to bring you this week's installment of some ministry leader encouragement, some stuff that I hope will help you if you're a person really trying to think about how you serve God better, how you lead people better. This week is the secret number 3 of highly effective leaders. It's productivity. And productivity, I think, a lot of times is misunderstood to be just a bunch of, uh, efficiency tools or checklist work, or how to get more tasks done in a day. But real productivity is what you produce. It's being able to produce things that are quality and that make a difference and move the needle. And so there's a few aspects I just want to hit real quick this morning and give you some things to think about this week, and maybe some things to work on as you're approaching the end of the year, and maybe you're starting to look back at what you've accomplished and wondering if you could have changed anything, whether you were working on the right things. That's really one of the most important questions with productivity, is not so much how fast are you getting things done or how much are you getting done, but are you making the correct impact for your own calling in your life? And so I want to just kind of talk through a few things. One is excellence, because excellence or quality is a big part of productivity, because if it's about what you're producing with your life, then there's all sorts of aspects to that that are not all about the speed or the number of things. It's really about the quality that you're putting out of your life. And I really believe that would begin with relationships, and thinking first about your relationship with God, thinking second about your relationship with those closest to you, your family, the ones you're responsible to really take care of and love best. And then it's everything else. I would look at that and go, well, then it's ministry outside of your family would be everything else, including if you have a full-time job at a corporate place, or whether you're a full-time pastor or nonprofit leader. Everything that we produce is really ministry. I think it starts with God, and it goes to then those that you're really responsible to shepherd the most, your family, and then ministry outside of that. And so when you think about excellence, there's a few reasons why excellence matters. I'm going to give you just a couple real quick. One is that excellence honors God. So again, we're on the subject of productivity, but we're talking about what you produce and doing it in a quality way. Excellence honors God. Colossians 3 says, work willingly at whatever you do, as though you're working for the Lord rather than for people. And so when you do excellent work as an offering, in a way, as for an audience of one, so to speak, where you're going, I'm going to write that paper, I'm going to give that talk, I'm going to organize that project. If you do it for the Lord, that's when you really go, I'm going to put my all into this then, and that actually honors God. And it also, number 2, second thing about excellence is that it attracts partnership. There's a really neat place in Scripture that talks about this, where Solomon had built, wisdom and wealth, and so then the Queen of Sheba comes to see him, and it's interesting that she decides that what the richest, wisest man in the world needs is more stuff. 9,000 pounds of gold. She comes and she goes, "You're doing such a good job that I want to give you more." And it's interesting how excellence attracts partnership. When you do a really good job, people want to be a part of it. And sometimes you can look back at your year and go, man, I just didn't get a lot of help this year. Well, one question might be, is what you're doing excellent? And again, part of productivity would be going, am I doing the right things? Maybe there's too much of the wrong thing getting in the way, creates a situation where you can't really do what you do with excellence. So all these things are great things to evaluate here at the end of the year, right before we jump into a brand new 2026. The third thing, real quick, on excellence is that excellence moves the needle. And Solomon's ultimate achievement was building the temple of God in Jerusalem, and that was his thing. What's your thing? What would you say? If you got it done, would really move the needle? You'd be like, yes, I was. The calling that I have in my life, it moved forward this year. You'll do that when you put it in with excellence. And once again, trying to kind of figure out what things do I need to do That is a huge part of productivity. And so I want to give you a couple of questions to ask yourself that will help you to align your life, that will help you to align your activity with your number one calling, with the things that are going to make the biggest difference. So, first question: what major projects are you working on right now, and which do you feel are moving too slow, and why? If you were to evaluate the projects you're working on right now, the big stuff that you're trying to push, down the road, what are they? And do you even have a concise list of things you're working on? That's a big part of productivity. Would be going like organizing your own effort in a way that can be tracked, and where you can say, I'm tracking these projects. One thing that we've learned and practiced at my church, Westside, is that our lead team works in really kind of like cycles, and we'll establish what our priorities are for that cycle, and we call them big rocks at our church. And then there's some subtasks or things underneath each one. And what we try to do is work in cycles where we can go, we're gonna make progress on these specific things, and at the end of that time, we're going to evaluate, are we done with these projects? Sometimes if we're not done, we'll kick it forward to the next cycle. Sometimes we'll say, you know what, we realize that the time to work on this is past, and it's a new season and there's a new need, and so we'll readjust and evaluate and come up with what are our now priorities, what's important now. WIN, what's important now, can be a really helpful way to do that. And so thinking about what projects am I working on, and which ones are moving too slow, and why. Sometimes it's because I've diluted my focus. Sometimes I've got too many interruptions. Sometimes there's been something is stuck, need help, pull people in. But those are all important things to think about. Another question as you think about your productivity and projects, it would be, if you had to cut out some activities in life that aren't giving you the productive payoff you want, what would they be right now? If you had to cut some stuff out, what would it be? It's not giving you the productive payoff. Maybe make a list. And maybe as you approach the end of the year, as you prayerfully consider what does God want you to take off your plate, sometimes it's the to-don't list that matters the most. And if you've collected a lot of drag through the year, things that are just dragging you down, and just all these repetitive tasks, maybe recurring tasks, or just all this extra expectation, and it's just not going to get you where you want to go and where God is leading you to go, then you need to summon the courage not only to make the list, but then to start working it, start undoing some things. Maybe you need to call somebody and say, look, I've been doing this and I need to stop. And here's why, is because it's holding me back from my life mission. And if you told that to anyone who has a heart, they're going to help you figure out how to undo that obligation so you can really focus on the things that are most important in your life. So as we wrap this little talk up, I want to ask you, what's on your to-don't list today, and what should be on your to-don't list for 2026? Because productivity is one of the secrets of highly effective leaders. You look all through history, all through scripture, people who were used by God, they achieved and accomplished and fulfilled a mission. That doesn't mean that they were wired like a type A, list checker offer. That means that they were faithful to the Lord, and that they got done the thing that He asked them to do in their lifetime. And sometimes that's very, very relational. Depends on what you're called to and how you're wired. Sometimes that's very tactical, and God can use it all. And so you are the right person at the right place in the right time. And it's important for all of us to go, okay, then I'm going to do the right things. I'm going to focus on the right things. And this year, I'm going to do that with excellence. So I hope you have a great day. As you start thinking about the next year, I want to inject some hope into you and remind you that God has a good plan for you, and that He's gonna take you there. So thanks for being with me today.